Picture this. You skip one Friday pizza and you free up $25. You do that every week, move the money into dividend-paying assets, and within a few years, those skipped slices can grow into a stream of income big enough to cover $4,000 a month. It sounds too neat, but the math checks out and the steps are easier than most people think. Today we walk through the plan from the first transfer to the moment your dividends pay your rent, your car loan, and your bills. All in plain language and with numbers you can check on any free calculator. Start with the idea behind a dividend. When you buy a share of a company or a fund, you become a small owner. Some firms keep every dollar of profit to grow faster, but others share part of the gain with owners as cash called a dividend. If you hold through the payment date, that money lands in your account, even if the share price goes nowhere. Line up enough shares and the cash arrives quarter after quarter without the need to sell anything, which makes dividends perfect for living expenses. Next, fix the target. $4,000 a month is $48,000 a year. To pay that from dividends, you need a pot big enough that the yearly yield equals $48,000. A blended yield of 8%, high enough to be realistic with some covered call funds, yet low enough to allow for price swings, means the pot must reach roughly $600,000. But wait before you panic. It's much easier than you think, and now we'll see why. Obviously, some weeks the market will fall and the yield will shift, but $600,000 is a solid guidepost. Now break that into the weekly habit. $25 invested every 7 days is $1,300 a year. If the money compounds at 10%, about the long-term return of a broad stock index with dividends reinvested, the account doubles about every 7.5 years. Beginning with nothing, steady deposits of $25 a week plus reinvested gains can pass $600,000 in 25 to 28 years. If that feels far off, remember you are building a passive paycheck large enough to replace a full-time job, and you are doing it with an amount most people forget they spent. Opening the right account is the first practical step. A free online broker works fine. Choose a tax-advantaged wrapper if you can. In the United States, that might be a Roth IRA for pure growth, or a traditional IRA if you expect a lower tax bracket later. In Canada, use a TFSA for tax-free cash. If those limits are full, open a plain brokerage account and record dividends so you do not miss the simple paperwork at tax time. Automate the transfer. Log in, find the recurring deposit setting, and schedule $25 from checking to the investment account every Friday. Automation matters more than investment selection because money you never see is money you never miss. If the first transfer overdrafts your account, you will solve that within 2 cycles, and you will have proof you needed a budget tune-up anyway. Now choose the core holding. A broad dividend growth exchange traded fund like SCHD or DGRO offers a yield near 3.5% and raises its payout almost every year. That rising income guards against inflation. Pair it with a smaller slice of a high-yield covered call ETF such as XYLD or JEPI that pays around 10 to 12% but grows its distribution slowly. A 60-40 mix of growth fund to high-yield fund can provide a blended yield near 6% while still allowing capital appreciation. Over time, reinvested gains push the effective yield on cost even higher. Turn on dividend reinvestment. Most brokers call this DRIP. Each time a payout arrives, the platform buys more shares automatically, which increases the next payout without more money from your paycheck. This is the snowball Warren Buffett quotes whenever he says compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. Raise the deposit whenever life gives you room. A yearly 3% bump matches the typical raise at many jobs and keeps the habit painless. $25 this year, $26 next year, $27 the year after that. 5 years in you will be sending about $30 without feeling it, and the schedule will shave 2 years off the timeline. Shield the plan with a small emergency fund. $500 covers a minor car repair and stops you from selling shares at a bad price. Build it to 1 month of expenses as soon as practical. After that, every spare cent belongs in the dividend engine. Ignore price headlines. You care about shares owned and dividends per share, not whether the Dow fell 300 points today. Lower prices mean the automatic deposit buys more shares, which means bigger payouts later. Add found money, a tax refund, a birthday envelope, the $23 you got for selling an old bicycle helmet. Move it straight to the brokerage on arrival. Lump sums leapfrog the timeline more than you expect. A single $500 side gig at age 25 can grow into $4,000 by retirement, all on its own. But be careful, because if you really want to retire, you have to give a discount on the bicycle helmet. Otherwise, the girl will run you over. Jokes aside, let us test the schedule with two examples. Abby is 23 and starts with 0, but commits to 25 weekly and a 3% yearly bump. She averages a blended return of 10%. In year 8, her balance crosses 20,000 and her dividends pass 120 a year. Barely lunch money, yet proof of life. Year 15, her balance crosses 70,000 and payouts reach 4,000 a year. Year 23, she breaks 250,000 and payouts jump above 15,000. Year 28, she crosses 600,000 and collects 48,000 a year, or 4,000 each month. She is 51. Her friends wonder why she seems so calm when layoffs hit, yet she still likes her work and lets payouts pile up for an even larger cushion at 60. Ben follows the same plan but adds $10 from a weekend dog walking gig, so he invests $35 weekly. He also channels his $500 tax refund each April. His break-even month arrives 4 years earlier, at age 47. The lesson is simple. Small boosts swing the timeline in big ways. You could push faster by swapping in more high-yield funds, but high yield often means higher risk and slower raise growth. Investors who chase only double-digit yields sometimes face dividend cuts that set them back years. The balanced recipe of growth plus yield keeps risk in check while still moving quickly. What about taxes once payouts replace your job income? Qualified dividends in many countries are taxed at lower rates than wages, and inside tax-advantaged accounts they may be tax-free. Planning early lets you mix account types so that part of your future income arrives untaxed, part arrives at a lower rate, and you decide which source to tap each year. At some point the math flips. The 48,000 you aimed for shows up whether you wake early or sleep in. That is the signal to pause reinvestment and send dividends to checking instead. Keep the principal intact, and your dividend paycheck should rise with companies' profits. If inflation flares, the growth sleeve of the portfolio tends to hike payouts more than enough to keep up. A final word on mindset. Dividend income feels slow at first. Many quit when the first year's total would barely cover a sell bill. The winners tape the progress report on the fridge and remember that every great oak starts smaller than a coin. They protect the habit, feed it when possible, and let decades do what decades do best. 1 pizza skipped per week, $25 captured, a few clicks on a broker app, and relentless patience. That is the entire blueprint. Follow it, and a handful of years, not decades, separate you from the point where your dividends cover the essential bills. Keep going, and the same simple habit can hand you $4,000 a month. Every month, whether you go to work or go to the beach. Your future self already knows the taste of that freedom. All that is left is for present-day you to order water instead of pepperoni on Friday and send the savings to work. So will you follow these steps? Let me know with a nice click on the subscribe button below and share your idea in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like for more future content, and I'll see you soon.